Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name's Amanda. I run the channel with my friend Jen. If you've been here before, you know this. But today we are gonna be picking from our most anticipated TBR jars.
Hello and welcome to our TBR jar read for July. We're not doing a most anticipated for September and October just yet. So this month we chose from our TBR jars. If you saw our July TBR, you saw that I chose A Step Past Darkness. I decided to get it from the library, so I'm in the parking lot right now. One of the things I love about my library, and I don't know if all libraries do this, but I love that you can do a reserve online and they have a special section where you can go pick up the book. It's very convenient. You don't have to worry about getting here and if it's going to be on the shelf. Sometimes I just stop in if I see it's on there. I don't worry about trying to do the pickup that way. But I saw it last night. They're open on Sunday, so I thought it'll be very convenient for me just to pick it up and not have to worry. But I may just venture around and see if I see anything to pick up too. You never know if you find something else that you want to read, just like a bookstore. I'm headed into the library to pick up A Step Past Darkness. I say that they have the pickup and then it wasn't at the pickup and I just went to the shelf and grabbed it myself. I don't know if I didn't give them enough time, if the weekend is different, but I did get it, so no big deal. Some things happen for a reason, maybe. As you saw, I was looking at their recommends and the person, I don't know sometimes if that's a real person because it looks like really neat handwriting. Taryn, whoever that is, had all the recommends on that table, but the person put The Good Part by Sophie Cousins, obviously great taste, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo plus Jodi Picoult. And so I thought, definitely same taste. And this one looked really intriguing, so I decided to pick that one up too. Never know, I might love, there's a new book I might love that I never even heard of. Maybe I'll just read it during this vlog if I get through it quick enough. Sometimes I feel like things happen for a reason, and I got potentially another great book. Let's just dig on in to Step Past Darkness though first.
So I have added some books to this jar. I went through the July and August most anticipated video and I put down all of the books that I had most anticipated for July and August, except for the ones I've already read. So I left out a few of them because I've already read some of them and done ARC reviews and things, or read them for vlogs. So some of them I've already read, but I put all of them in here. They're on these little purpley pieces of paper. And if I pull one that is not coming out until August or that I don't have access to, then I'll just have to put it back and pull another one. But I just felt like it was easier to put them all in at once than try to separate out the ones that are already out and then add the other ones later. I just wanted to throw them all in there. So if I pull one from August, I will put it back and we will draw another one. So let's see what I get. I got The Perfect Sister by Stephanie DeCarlis. And this is a book I have an ARC for. It's an e-ARC from NetGalley. So this is the cover. Okay, this is my ARC copy. This is the cover. Y'all know I'm behind on my ARCs, but I try to read these before they come out, and this just came out, so this is very good that I got this one. I'm excited for this one. This is a thriller, and I'm actually kind of in the mood for a thriller, so this turned out to be pretty perfect. I don't know much, but I know that you're following a set of sisters, and one sister goes to Long Island and kind of disappears, and the other sister goes to Long Island to search for her and find her lost sister. And I know she ends up meeting a family that was supposedly connected to this, and I think it's like lots of rich people kind of drama, which like I'm really really find those books fun. I feel like the setting's very fun when you're in some like rich person mansion, and I don't know, all the secrets that they hold. It just I think it's entertaining. Come on. I know I'm not the only one that likes to read thriller novels about rich people, because there's so many of them out there. So super excited about this. Let me know if you guys have read this in the comments below, because I'm gonna start reading it and let you guys know what I think.
All right, I read through a chunk of A Step Past Darkness. I'm about 150 pages in, but this one's kind of thick. I think it's like 500 pages. There is a lot going on in this story. There's a lot of characters, and you're also going in between present day and then 1995, I think, 1995 or 1996. And the story gets kind of crazy. When it hit a certain point, there is an explanation of what this group of 6 kids saw when they were younger. And it takes place, they're in this like small little town in PA, I think it is. And I actually looked it up, and it's based on a real town where there is like a burning underneath in caves that has been going on for years. And I don't know the backstory as to why I can't remember what it said for the real town when this happened. So in these caves, the kids in high school are going there for like parties. Something tragic happens. And I can't even, obviously it is a spoiler if I told you, but it was shocking to me. I was like, what is happening? I don't know the full story yet. You only get part of what happened. And now you're getting bit by bit kind of backstory as to why it may have happened and who's involved. But the only thing is, I feel like I'm reading a lot of stories recently where there are a lot of characters and it's switching perspectives a lot. And it can be hard because I'm not reading a lot in one sitting because I'm going to work or I'm doing other things. And I've been trying to read 2 different books at once, and that's not helping me. I'm going to have to concentrate on just this one now because I start to get characters confused. And it's obviously not helping me with concentrating on this story. I am really interested in knowing what happens with these characters and what may be behind all of it. I feel like you're kind of being led to think what is behind it. I don't want to say, because if it ends up being it and I just guessed it right, but I feel like it's pretty much presenting like this is what's behind it. And I don't know if it's going to be one of those stories where it's a huge twist and that's not really, or if you are just getting bit by bit and you're finding out that's what it is, and maybe something else is a twist. I don't know yet, but I am enjoying it so far, and I will give an update at a future point.
All right, y'all, I got to chapter 6, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I'm about 13% into the book, so a little past, 10%, not very far. But so far we've had 3 point of views. We're following Alex, who is the younger sister that's looking for her missing older sister. You're following Lily, who is the daughter of a rich house. There's a household with a mom and dad, a son, and then a daughter. The daughter's the youngest. Lily is the youngest daughter in the family. And you're following Catherine. And Catherine is the mom of the family that kind of took Madison in and let her live in the pool house. And so far, the family feels a little awkward. Lily seems to be like one of those people that's just kind of awkward in social settings and around people. She kind of like second guesses herself. She's not very secure. She doesn't know how to behave, worries that she says the wrong things, that kind of stuff. And then the mom is kind of your typical, like when I read thrillers, the adults in the book that are moms seem to have like a certain image that they have this very big pressure, a lot of pressure to maintain, and then part of that image is like perfect children. So there seems like the mom is kind of strict, and she kind of has like a tone with the children that are like pressuring the children a little bit, or makes the children seem like they have to be perfect, like good manners and all of that kind of things. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry if this is confusing, but Catherine, and then Lily, and so far Alex. So those are the 3 point of views that we've gotten very early in the book. And I'm not always a fan of multiple point of views in fast-paced thrillers, but sometimes I don't mind. I guess it just depends on the book and how it's written. So we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. But so far, 3 points of view. Okay, guys. So just got to chapter 8, and there's a new POV, Theo. And Theo is the older brother of the rich family. Now we have 4 points of view in the book: Theo, Catherine, Lily, and Alex. And that's where we're at so far.
I wanted to do an update. They had referenced again, and I'm only like 100 pages left now, by the way. They had referenced again the characters in the book about how there was a fire in the caves underneath the town. And what's weird, I was scrolling through TikTok as one does, and there was a video about this town in PA that had a fire that was going to take like 200 years to burn out. And I thought, well, that's a weird coincidence. So I looked up the town from the TikTok, and it's Centralia, PA. So I looked it up, never heard of it, and I grew up in PA. I grew up in Charleroi. It's an hour south of Pittsburgh. And Centralia is about 2.5 hours away from where I grew up. This happened in the 60s, and they eventually evacuated everyone in the 80s, I think they said. It was a fire, and there are a bunch of theories as to how it happened. I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories as to how it happened. And there are pictures, which I'm going to show you some pictures, but there are pictures of like steam coming up through and gases up through the roads, and things are collapsing in this town. And there are 5 people that refuse to leave this town. I'm not going to get into all of that. I ended up, I don't know if you guys do that. Sometimes I research because things just seem very interesting to me. And so here are some pictures from Centralia, PA. Today I was thinking, that's really weirdly coincidental. I wonder if the author based this on this town, and this isn't the only town that has something similar happening. I'm not sure, it might be the only town. They call Centralia now a ghost town. I'm not sure if all the other towns, I didn't research that much to see how much it has happened where these towns are evacuated like this one was. So I looked up an interview with this author, and it was actually by Alex Finley, who I also read a book by recently, and he interviewed her about the release of Step Past Darkness. And I was like, oh my God, it was Centralia, PA. She mentioned how she had read about this town and it influenced her. And the other thing that I thought was interesting that she talked about this book was that she did a lot of research for the characters. She likes having books where there is an ensemble cast, and it sounds like she was influenced also by It by Stephen King. I didn't read It. I have seen several different versions in the movies from It, and that makes sense now, knowing some of the things that are happening in this book. So I enjoyed watching that interview. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know, maybe Amanda can link that interview. I'll give her the link for the interview so you guys can see it if you were interested in learning more about this book, or if you've read it and have not seen the interview and want to see it. I'm about 100 pages away. There's still a lot going on, and there are 6 main characters, one of which at the very beginning of this book, I won't say which one of which had died, and the 5 of them come back present day to find out what happened with the 6th person, because they had separated after what happens in the 90s, which you're seeing flashbacks and seeing what's happening when they were teenagers, and something traumatic happens. You already know part of that story, but you're still getting more of the story of what happened in these mysterious caves underneath this town. I'm going to continue to read. I'll probably be back unless something crazy happens and I want to talk about it. I will be back for final thoughts on A Step Past Darkness.
Hey y'all, update time. I am on chapter 45, which is going to be Theo's point of view, and I'm 84% into the book. And there was a big twist. A couple of chapters ago, there was a big twist. And I gotta say, it was predictable, but also relieved. Like, I felt relieved to finally get some answers, even though it was kind of what the book was leading you towards, which makes me feel like there's more twists coming, that maybe everything's not what it seems. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying this book so far. I think it's been an okay thriller. I have had a good time reading it so far, and I want to get to the end and just get some answers. I can't say the book's been like shocking or like super addictive where I just want to, read like the whole book at once, but it's been very interesting, it's been entertaining, and it's been a good little thriller. I gotta say, the cover of this book, like, yes, the book takes place in the Hamptons, but I don't feel like the vibe of this cover really fits the vibe of the book. Like, to me, this looks just like a general fiction cover. Doesn't really scream thriller to me. So I mean, I don't know, maybe this isn't classified as a thriller. I'm pretty sure it is though. Maybe this is just general fiction, but it's got lots of thriller aspects to it. Just not the most gripping thriller I've read. Let's see how the ending goes, and I will follow up with final thoughts after I read this last 16%.
I'm here for final thoughts. I did feel that this had a satisfying ending. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I feel it could have been 5 stars if there were parts of it that felt a little slow, and I feel like it almost had parts that maybe could have been edited out. I'm not sure. I was trying to think about like what could have been taken out, because I feel that this was a really well done book. The only thing, and it's a me thing, is I have a hard time when there are that many characters that I keep having to keep up with. And it's more about the time that I get to read. And when I get back to it, sometimes it's just hard for me to remember who is who. There are 6 characters that were high school students. They were together for a capstone high school project, and those 6 ended up becoming friends, but what ties them together is what happens to them at a party in the caves, and something very traumatic happens. And I know I mentioned that this was inspired, and because it's a library book, it keeps flashing. I'm going to put this down because the light keeps catching that. I had talked a little bit, not just about the town that had inspired the author, but also she had mentioned in the interview I watched that Stephen King's It was kind of an inspiration. And what's funny is at the very end in the acknowledgements, I tend to read that kind of stuff at the end of books, especially ones that I really like. And if I had just waited to get to the acknowledgements, she actually mentions Centralia, PA, which inspired her for the town, and also she mentioned Stephen King's It, which I thought was funny. I had mentioned that the inspiration was Stephen King's It, and the characters are kind of a ragtag group. There's both popular kids in this group, as well as some not so popular kids, I guess is the only way to say that. And it's Maddie, Kelly, James, Casey, Padma, and Gia. And you start out at the beginning with Gia, who there's kind of, and I don't feel like this is spoilers, but there's kind of a supernatural element, just as I guess you would kind of say that Stephen King had in it. And I think Stephen King tends to put supernatural elements in a lot of his books. I thought that was very interesting way she worked with that in this book. But the part that I felt was unique to her was at the center of this town, and what tends to run this town is a church, and she actually calls it a mega church. I don't want to say anything else because it ends up getting into really heavy spoiler territories, but there's a lot of things that end up coming from this church and tying into what happens to them in these caves. I really feel it was a well done book. I felt the characters, and it made sense when I saw that interview, how she did a lot of research and what really wanted the characters to speak for themselves as individual people. And I really feel that comes through a lot. And seeing them as kids and what they go through and the trauma that happens versus when they come back together to figure out what happened when one of them ends up dead and they think murdered, and things they think there is something tied to what they all experienced when they were younger. I feel it was really well done in both formats. It kept me riveted, but there were just some slow parts within it, and it was a very long book, and maybe I'm just impatient sometimes, but I don't feel there were definitely some parts where I didn't feel riveted, and I ended up picking something else up for a little bit. But I do feel the ending was well done, and sometimes for me that is really going to make or break a book. And if it isn't well done, then I'm just like, maybe a 3. But I did think it was a 4. If it had been a little more plotted out well and didn't feel so long, I would have given it a 5 for sure.
Okay, I have finished The Perfect Sister, and there were twists in the end that I did not see coming. The ending was pretty exciting, I would say. Once you get through like all of the twists, then there's sort of a dangerous, exciting part at the end. So I would say overall, this is a pretty good book. I wouldn't say, like I mentioned earlier, it's just the most gripping thriller that I'm just gonna rave about. If you want something that's just like maybe a casual read, this is sort of in the thriller vein. There are twists, there are thriller aspects to the book, there's a mystery you're solving. But I just didn't find it as gripping as like some of the Frida thrillers or Riley Sager thrillers that I've read. And I enjoyed the book. I do recommend it if you want something. It's not a cozy thriller or anything like that. It's not cozy. It is kind of dark, and there are some very dark aspects to this book. That's why I don't think that the cover really matches the vibe of the book, because there's like kind of a secret society. It's not a cult, but there's like a secret society kind of thing going on, which is something that I love to read about in books. A missing person, potentially a murder. And there's another girl potentially murdered. I'm not trying to give anything away, but the stakes are kind of high, and you're just kind of following this woman looking for her sister, and she encounters this family that she's like digging in to them, trying to find out all their secrets in order to figure out what happened to her sister. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would say give it a try. Like I said, it wasn't like a grip me, stay up all night read, but if you want a casual read that's just entertaining and you can just sit on the couch and enjoy and relax, then I would say this might be a thriller you should consider reading.
Thanks so much as we read through one of our TBR jar reads. And next month we are going to be doing most anticipated for September, October. I can't believe that we're already going to be diving into some fall reads. So next month we won't be picking from the jar, but the month after that, I will be back to pick another from the jar. So thanks for watching, and until next time.